All right, 1 Samuel 21. Once again, let's call this one Homeless King, but this time subtitle it The Insecurities of Temporary Shelter, understanding that we are now going to see David try to find shelter in two different places that are not going to last very long at all, because in this chapter, now moving on from the field, having gotten his answer from Jonathan, he is now going to go back to church. First place to stop is, it's not really church. He's going to go to the priest this time. It's not going to be Samuel again. And there are times in the sleeping rough stage, to the degree I've had the chance to work with homeless communities, where you're going to have to piece together your help. And in this situation, David is piecing together his help. See, the first time he goes to church, he's looking possibly to understand, why am I going through this, since he is going to the prophet and he is going to get divine intervention. But not every answer from God is going to come in the form of divine intervention. And this time he's just going to need stuff, because he doesn't have food. And he is going to find food with the priest. And he's also going to need a weapon, since it's clear that Saul intends to take his life. And so the priest is going to provide him with a weapon, but it's going to put David in the tough circumstance of having to explain why he's there in the first place, since everybody knows he's not just a soldier, but he's a hero of Israel, and word has not completely gotten around as to why he is sleeping rough. And so he is going to lie to the priest in order to get what he needs. And as we mentioned in the last chapter, when you are under the pressure of insecurity, it does not always provide you an ideal opportunity for making decisions. And so that's what we see in David here, reminding us that even though God might not have destined us to be kings, even his king put in a tough enough circumstance is going to fold, even after having been described as a man after God's own heart. And so, God willing, that will encourage each and every one of us who have been put in situations where what we would like to do in a perfect world wasn't what we actually did. So understand, what God gives us this story of David, we are seeing him now lie to the priest in a way that'll help him get what he needs, but it's going to cause him some regret later, because when Saul catches up to the priest, it's not going to be good news. But for now, David realizes that he can't stay put. And so the church has a little bit of what he needs, but it doesn't have everything he needs, because he's got a lot of needs at this point. So there are going to be times in life, likewise, when we are forced to revisit some burnt bridges, or some bridges that might not be completely burnt. So we're tempted to go back and say, okay, well, where is this now? Because I know when I left, things weren't good. But I'm in a tight right now, and I got to at least ask. And so life will bring us into tough situations where we have to ask for help. And that's where David finds himself as he is going back to the Philistines. And not just the Philistines, understanding they had 5 kings over 5 territories. He is going back to the very home territory of Goliath, the man that he killed. And so he is going to go there desperate for shelter and refuge. And he is going to find out that it is too soon. Why? Because when he gets there, they're going to recognize him and say, is this not David? And they're going to sing his own theme song, but it's not going to sound as sweet coming from the Philistines, because they were the ones who were essentially the butt of the joke. And so the very words that were used to praise him are now going to put his life in danger. And so he is going to have to be clever once again, but his cleverness isn't going to get him out of it, because later on he is going to pen a psalm. I think it's Psalm 34, that once again gives credit to God who delivered him, this time not by sword or shield or sling, but this time by simply allowing him to humble himself to a point where even his enemies shoot him away and didn't want to have anything to do with him, which creates another dilemma, because he's still the homeless king. And so even though it would be nice to have a nice tidy lesson at the end of this 5 minutes, there are periods in life where they just don't sum up in 5 minutes, an hour, or even a few days. And that is where we pick up in the next chapter, seeing David continuing on as a homeless king, still sleeping rough.